Welcome to the B-Sides and Beers podcast.
Welcome to B-Sides and Beers, episode 29. Tonight we're digging into the Canadian 80s punk scene in an episode we're calling 80s Punk with Uncle Dave. How are we doing tonight, guys?
Good.
Uncle Dave, I feel so honored. I don't get called Uncle Dave very often anymore. Well, I guess, we don't see each other very much anymore, but Uncle Dave's it's a distant memory, so...
I think it's because we've had this discussion a couple of times, and because as a young kid you gave me a lot of like taped like whether it was like off of your LPs or other tapes that you had or CDs, you gave me a bunch of things that were like pretty influential as far as like what me and Mike Filipski would listen to a lot, right?
And we kind of traced this lineage down back to you. And then we were like, you know what? We need to get Uncle Dave on the podcast because whatever Dane was listening to, I was listening to, right? So then I'd be like, where did you get this from? Oh, my uncle gave it to me. Oh, my uncle gave it to me. And I was like, man, it was just so many of these connections, right? That I was like, I think that like Uncle Dave influenced my musical taste too. And he doesn't even know it.
Well, and that's what it is. It's like when I listen to the one podcast about No Means No, it's like I remember giving Dana a bass guitar and that I got from a buddy of mine, and I thought I'd learn how to play bass, but somehow I just got stuck to drums. I could never get off the kit, right? They always wanted me to drum, so I ended up giving that to Dana. But I didn't realize that just that simple gesture, and I guess throwing some music at him was so impactful. It was pretty interesting. It was surprising. Put it
well, and not only that too. I guess you're talking about the tapes and stuff like that, but like also that instrument that ended up spawning everything else after that too, right? Like that's giving Dane that bass was like the first crack at us playing together, right? Because we wouldn't have been able to do that otherwise, right?
Yeah. And in like 2 or 3 different versions, right? I think 2 or 3 different bands that were, from when we were little kids up until we were in our 20s. Yeah. So, yeah.
That bass was legendary. Where is the bass?
I think my dad threw it out. It sucks. I still think about it to this day. It was a sweet PVT 80, I think. It just had like the one bridge pickup. It weighed like probably
1,000 pounds,
25 pounds. There had been like a couple people who had smoked their head on that thing during a couple of shows for sure. Yeah. It definitely made its rounds. Like I'm sure before you gave it to me, and then like when we played as well. Like
it could tell some good stories. I think by the end, there's no doubt about it. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the guy I bought it from, Tom Podovinsky, unfortunately, rest in peace. But he fell in a tree well skiing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That was a shocker. I guess you fall into these wells, you're upside down, you kind of suffocate. But I don't recall him ever playing in a band, so I don't know the mileage it had before it hit your desk. So.
Yeah, and then the cabinet, it was like a 15-inch something or other that we named Thunder and like spray painted, and then it was a tube amp that now that I've done some research, and I think it was an old Trainer. So it didn't have any badge on the front, but it looks Trainer or Taylor. Am I getting those mixed
Taylor
up?
sounds, well, maybe I'm just thinking of who's the guy from the rock band, of course, Taylor.
Oh, Corey Taylor?
No, I'm thinking of the big, huge band. the rock star Taylor. Anyways,
yeah, it's definitely a trainer.
Yeah.
I think it's like an English brand, but anyway, I mean that thing caught fire.
They're Canadian made.
Are they Canadian made? I thought they were British for some reason.
No, they're still actually Canadian made, which is awesome. Yep.
There you go. There you are. And that thing electrocuted me a couple times, and it caught fire once.
Perfect.
Started smoking out the back, and I sent it to an old. He was like a vacuum repair guy that was able to fix it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, the electronics or the electricals pretty simple. Well, maybe nowadays, I don't know. Again, I'm stuck on the kit still, but pretty simple. So when you get a broken one, grab it because they're pretty easy to fix, right?
yeah.
Do you have a kit now,
exactly.
Dave?
Yeah. I was I've kind of fallen off for the last 6 months. I don't know why, but I was practicing again. I wanted to get playing, and then of course COVID hit, and that sucked. You can't play now. And I continued to practice for a little while, but I don't know. I guess the last 6-8 months, I haven't been sitting down there, and I look at my kit, and it's like, it's just kind of a drag to play alone, right? As much as you can put headphones on and get down there and play, it's
Not the same.
I need it. I need a band. I need some guys. Let's play. Let's have some fun. Let's do this every Wednesday at 8:00, and we'll play for 2 hours. Right? That's the rule. I'm busy Wednesdays because we jam. Sorry.
What kind of kit do you have?
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. I think it's a Black Pearl kit downstairs.
Nice.
So it's a nice drum kit.
Yeah.
So it needs a band. Needs a home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, what are we drinking?
Yeah. Let's do the rounds.
Well, I'll go first here. It's a pretty simple. It's just a Corona, but I'm drinking Corona because I can't have gluten anymore, and Mexican beers are pretty much gluten-free. They can't say gluten-free because of how they're produced and where they're produced, but pretty much just, I guess, the way they process it, it's pretty much a gluten-free beer. So without paying the $87 per can for real gluten beer, I'll drink the Corona. It's not a bad beer, but I do miss my Guinness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Corona's good, though. You can pound a few Coronas. That's takes you back, kind of.
It's just on a hot day. Yeah, Corona is awesome, right? But there's nothing like a nice cold. Well, I guess not too cold, but I went to the Guinness factory in Ireland, and it was a great experience. It was like 11:30 in the morning, and we pour our own Guinness, right? You get to pour your own Guinness. So I poured that, drank it, and then my wife took one sip of hers. She hates it, so I'll drink it. So here it is, 2 pints. I'm a little guy. I barely eaten breakfast, and I'm just hammered.
11:45.
Yeah, when in the Guinness factory, right? Like, you got to do it.
Yeah, right?
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Mike, what do you got?
Well, tonight I am going back to, I guess technically even into the future / back to the future / whatever. So we will be released, or no, we have released, I guess it would be, Mount Begbie. So I've got 2 from Mount Begbie here. I've got a
Nice.
easy hopper, hazy pale ale. Got a cool Easy Rider kind of theme going. Dennis Hopper. Yeah.
That's the new label
That is, it looks like,
that
yeah,
Darren
this
was
is
talking about.
Yeah, I think this is one of the new ones, and the other one that I have here is a Mount Begbie Cream Ale.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Those are nice
Yeah,
cans.
so we're rocking that tonight. Yeah, and for anybody that didn't listen to that, Mount Begbie is out of Revelstoke, BC.
Nice.
Right on.
Yeah.
It's good to see those new labels.
Yeah, they're awesome, man. I really like this Easy Hopper one.
How is the taste? How is the Easy Hopper taste?
It's a really smooth pale ale. It's nice. I mean, pretty well everything that I've had from them so far has just been really smooth and, clean, not a really harsh aftertaste. So
Yep.
They know what they're doing.
Dane, what you got?
Which I got my normal Aerosmith, my Mount Aerosmith blonde ale. This is just like a staple for me. And like, I've got my low pressure porter. I just can't stop drinking those two. They're in combination, they're just the best. So like Mount Aerosmith, if you're listening,
email us back.
Send me some free stuff. And then
on.
In honor of Uncle Dave, I've got an Il Sauvage. And I've only tried their Pilsner before, which is really good. Il Sauvage is like, I think one of the better breweries here on the island for sure. So they're out of Victoria. And this is a Nordique. So I'm not really sure what I'm in for, but it says a rye IPA with juniper berries. 7%. So that'll be fun.
Nice.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So that's it. Oh, I was in the back section where I normally am a couple hours before the show. And there's a little sign that said blowout sale. So I grabbed that because it was a $2 can. It was like $1.98 can. And it was a tall boy.
Nice.
So I had that before I cooked tacos tonight. And,
Nice.
I can't remember the name of the brewery. NB. It'll come to me. It was the name of the beer was called Naughty Neighbor, I think, and it was a pale ale, and it was some like roller derby girl on the can. Names escape me, but it was good. It was good.
Right.
Nice. I've never heard of this brewery before, and I dig this can, man. I don't know. It's one of the coolest cans that I've seen. This is Scandal Brewing out of Prince George, BC. And I got an organic lager and I've got an organic amber ale. But check this can out.
Fuck yeah.
That is rad.
Cool. Hey, it's like a Metallica font mixed with like a Radiohead kind of bottom to it. And the other one's exactly the same except red. Yeah. The organic ale. Scandal.
That's badass.
What is it? Does it say Scandal?
Yeah. Yeah. So 5% on both of these, both organic. But yeah, so I'm going to give them a go. I've never heard of Scandal Brewing, but I've never been to Prince George either. So maybe that's why.
There you go.
Oh, PG. I've only heard stories of it. Never been there either.
Oh, here we go.
They're always pretty crazy stories too.
Right? All great stories. So does this mean the alcohol wars are off?
Oh, it's off. Yeah.
It's just like 10% was just like Looney Tunes and like that's it.
Yeah.
Well, 10% is the highest I could find in cans. So, I mean, if I'm gonna up it to the next, it's gonna be like a growler or.
That's pretty good though, man. 10% is tough to beat. I don't think I've ever seen anything in a can that's over 10%. Like that's.
Unless it's like fucking wine.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
spiking it.
Yeah.
There's some French beers. I've had one, and I can't remember the actual French name, but it's Edge of the Earth, a translation, and I think that was 11%.
There you go.
So that was a pretty.
Now we're gonna find that.
Yeah.
It's on
it.
Yeah. See what you can find.
My wife would remember, but of course, I just remember Edge of. Trompe la Mode came, but now I'm thinking that's like a Pixies song or something. I've got the Pixies in my head for some reason. I'm mixing up worlds here.
Pixies.
Is it? I see. It's Edge of the Earth. It's not French.
Yeah. Well, that's the name of it, but it was French. But
oh, I see.
It's from Quebec.
Yeah, Quebec. Oh yeah. Cool. We'll have to take a look for that. Okay, so I've been actually dying to ask you about a picture that you posted on Facebook.
Right. And that's when. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was when Chai Pig passed away, lead singer of SNFU, and you posted this picture, and I'm assuming you took it, right, or someone took it.
No, yeah, someone took it. That was the time that we played with. So Cadillac of Worms played with SNFU, and I've got my gig poster here. Eastwood Hall. Yeah, let's see if I can. It's this is a keeper.
Wicked.
Right? probably a bit of a glare on there, but
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? That picture is so awesome. I just love that picture. You see that running shoe sticking out in the air, nice big red Converse. And yeah, if there's a gig to remember, it was that one.
No kidding.
Yeah, it really was. It was Eastwood Hall. I just remember where were the Wages of Sin? They probably played before us, so we would have been second. And it was just such a great gig. It just sticks in my mind, never forget it. We started with a Chambers Brothers song, Pictures of Matchstick Men. And it's got a real slow intro. It's a picking guitar, like ding doo 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 doo. And it was dark. I couldn't see a thing. You're up on stage. And all of a sudden, when that guitar picking ends and we just burst into the song, and of course we're playing it revved up. It's a punk version. And the lights came on and I saw all these kids in the audience and they were moshing and stage diving. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is awesome. It was just like, I was having so much fun. It was just like a moment to remember. It was unbelievable. And I mean, the lights were good. The sound was good. You know, it's SNFU and they always had at least decent people to manage their sound and their lights. So yeah, that was an amazing show. So that's one that will stick in my head forever and ever.
And that's why you do it.
Oh yeah. It was just, yeah, that was good.
What year was that, Dave? Sorry?
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to think what year that would have been. 89? 88, 89?
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a pretty special day. And then to see Kenny Chin before, you know, he was Kenny Chin, right, from SNFU.
Yeah.
You see him, he's doing his stretching before. And you didn't bug him. You let Kenny, you know, and he was there doing his stretching and he's getting ready because he's going to be leaping off that bass drum any minute now. And it was pretty cool, you know.
Wow. So how did that get set up? How, you know, like I'm kind of interested in like the backstory, like the circles of like the Edmonton punk scene, because the more we kind of dabble, we talk a little bit about like our experience with the Edmonton scene, but there really isn't a lot of like stuff documented. There isn't a lot of stuff that you can find online. So like what was that scene like, and like what were the bands that you played with, and how did that show get set up?
That particular show, I don't remember. Maybe who knows? Kelly Simpson. He was sort of the headline guy for us. And, you know, another rest in peace. Kelly passed away about maybe a year ago, 6 months ago. But yeah, that was a loss for Edmonton to lose Kelly Simpson. He was such a strong person, such a great person. And, you know, he was an Edmonton icon in the 80s and 90s. So, I mean, he played with us, Cadillac of Worms. He played with The Loved One. That's what Euthanasia became after, you know, they sort of transformed. But that particular show, maybe Kelly set it up. I don't recall. But yeah, we kind of, you know, I'm looking at some gig posters here. Yeah. So I would look, you know, I kept a lot of them. You know, I've got SNFU, Junior Gone Wild, Euthanasia. Here's another one, Skinny Puppy.
Skinny Puppy, yeah. Oh, out of awesome. Vancouver, yes.
The Forgotten Rebels, the Golden Calgarians. So, again, Kelly was kind of the guy that would get us the gigs. I kind of managed the money because if I didn't, he would buy mushrooms and we would go broke. So, yeah, you know, we played a lot with Euthanasia. So I guess wherever they would play, we would get on the bill, or maybe if they couldn't do it, we would do it. So here's another one. You know, and I did some looking just to see what happened to these bands. What were they in? 10 Foot Faces. we played with
Can we see
them.
some of those posters? I know it's not good for the podcast, but oh yeah.
10-foot faces. And this one sticks out in my memory. That's why I wanted to look them up, because I just recall that being a pretty cool show. And that's another band that I actually started with. So that's Exploding Fertilizer. So that was really my first band. And that was more of a frat band. We started playing at frat houses, and, it was more drink and play. And then we did kind of start doing shows, and then a couple of the guys took off, went to university, and hence Cadillac Worms was born. Big House. That was another one.
These posters are great.
I think
So cool.
I think Big House was Down syndrome. I think it was Down syndrome. I think Down syndrome turned into Big House. And I looked at Big House on the internet, and they turned into a real metal band, like clean, crisp metal. Didn't like it at all. It wasn't my thing. I like more, more noisy and dirty and grungy sounds. So let's see. There's another interesting one here. 10,000 Maniacs.
Oh yeah, that rings a bell.
The Brunettes. Is another SNFU one. No, we didn't play with them there, but let's see. It was Spartans Men's Hall. That's, of course, if there was a place that was sort of the birth of the scene in Edmonton, it was Spartans Men's Hall. That was the place that they could afford to play at, because everything else was too expensive. So that's where it all started. $3.
What year was that one?
SNFU at Spartans Men's
Where
Hall.
is that? Where was that? Please.
Yeah, what year was
Let's
that?
see. The address here is 12645 66th Street. I believe it's been torn down, and it's either a parking lot or it's gone.
Wow.
Oh fuck, my recollection of Edmonton is not so great.
Yeah.
It's funny, you leave for 10 plus years and you start forgetting all these places that you've been, and
Oh yeah.
And then you go back.
you used to be able to rattle off every street and every avenue and every little corner and section of the place, and now it's so much of it's just gone, like it almost like it didn't happen.
And it's so different, right? Like downtown
Totally.
is so
Yeah.
different.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I remember I started going to Edmonton periodically for work, and I had to get a GPS. I didn't know where I was, man.
It's nuts. Yeah.
Man, what is this place?
Yeah. no
That's
kidding.
awesome. You have the collection of those posters, though. Like that's
They're in great
Yeah.
shape too. It looks like you just printed them off yesterday.
like it feels like
Oh,
Dane,
wow.
you're onto something there with like. Yeah, look at that. Like this whole like
We got to get some pictures of those for our records and the IGs and whatnot.
Yeah,
the site.
absolutely. Yeah, Dave,
That'd
you gotta
be
take some
great.
pictures, some high res pictures of these.
That would be
Send them
kick ass.
on.
Yeah, Royal Crescent Mob. That was another good show. That's I just can't remember what kind of music they put. They're from Ohio, so we did.
Wow.
We had some fun. We did some good gigs. Edmonton's a really. I mean, you guys grew up there. It's a good scene. It's a good music scene, and why it's a good music scene is, I think it's just the right size of city, right? You could have community within a city that size, where Vancouver and Toronto are so big, and it gets more difficult to find that family, that scene where that's just a guess, right? It was a interesting time. There was no internet, there was no web. Like to get a gig, you had to look for the poster. You had to go to Sound Connection on White Ave, and
Right.
go see the list, right? And what list, what shows were playing. And I remember I took off there to go get No Means No tickets, because that's the only place you could get them, right? You had to have a ticket. And I remember I had the last two. I was so happy.
and where were some of the venues? Like some of the besides the one that you listed, what else was like kind of the classic venues back then?
Well, there was the multi-purpose Rumpus Room. That was a neat place. Again, I think that was more 97th Street-ish area.
Okay.
And it was just a good place to play. So I'm just looking at some of the Ambassador Hotel.
Right.
That's where Big House was. I remember playing there quite a bit. And there was this Italian pizza place, the Piazza or something like that. We played there a few times. Rip rockin' and rollin'. Let's see. Yeah, the Piazza. Friday, October 2 at the Piazza. It was just an Italian like pizza place. But yeah, it was good.
It's awesome.
That's great. So it seems like it was a healthy scene. Like there was a lot, or was it more like kind of like once in a while there would be sort of like a whole bunch of bands getting together and playing, and then like nothing? Like was it sort of dead in the winter and like hopping during the summertime, or was it just like was it more consistent than that?
No, I wouldn't say there was seasonality to it. I remember I wanted to make sure we had a show. You didn't want to play too much.
Yeah.
Right. Because people then won't come. But, we played quite a bit, probably every 6 weeks we had a show. So, and, it was kind of all over. There wasn't, once the Spartans men's hall closed, it was like, okay, where do we go now? Right. Where do you play now? So that's when different venues opened up. Or the Ambassador, it was like a shitty hotel, horrible bar, like no one would go. So if we could get, 50, 80, 100 people in there to drink beer and listen to a band, they were all for it. So.
And what was the money like at the end of the night? Like what did you get at the end? If you were handling the cash, what would you get?
Well, I mean, we did manage to save up enough money to make a tape, right? So let's see, and where is this infamous tape? So here, I got it right here. So we made this little.
That's awesome,
what a
man.
great album cover.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That worm. That's pretty.
Oh, that's badass. I like that. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we had enough money to make. Wow, this isn't even the real thing. I wonder what it is. I mean, I still have it, but I wonder what that is. Because I wish I had more floor tapes from us, or I wish I even had video, right? But it didn't exist. It was really rare. I mean, I recall once we had video. God knows where it is today, right?
Yeah, we lucked out that way. We had a guy that was
huge.
Following us around. We didn't do really anything. We didn't even have a camera, but this guy that we knew, that Trevor knew, had a camera, and again, that was kind of, still kind of cutting edge as far as like, digital stuff, right? Like, so at that point, but we lucked out that way. We got lots of material on YouTube now, which is, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
I mean, that was us, but there's also, there was a lot of great bands, not that came out of Edmonton, but at that time. And it's interesting how, you've got Junior Gone Wild. They're like one of the, the fundamental, I can't even call them punk. They're pop, rock, country, but you would have them playing with SNFU on the same bill all the time. So it wasn't, just, when you think about it, it's kind of interesting. They're not going to see a particular sound, right? It's the scene. They wanted to go out. They're going to see a show, right? I mean, I must have seen SNFU 20 times. I don't own one of their albums. I can't even say I really like to listen to their music, but the show was amazing.
Yeah.
To see the energy and Kenny Chin up there and jumping and the Belkey brothers playing. It was just fantastic to watch. And the shit he would do on stage. I remember it was Halloween and he came out with this pumpkin and he put his hand in the pumpkin and he pulled out the guts of the pumpkin and he threw it on the crowd and they loved it. Then he put this pumpkin on his head and he's walking around. He's got this pumpkin on his head and the guts are coming out. And That's what I went to go see SNFU for. So
Yeah, and
Right.
you can't capture that on just an audio recording. You've got to be full in.
And I gave him a listen today, and it's okay, it's all right. But again, I don't know one of their albums. Seen them, 20 times. Maybe between No Means No and SNFU, those are probably the two bands I've seen the most in my life. Or Spirit of the West, and that was another band I was thinking of. Again, just sort of the diversity of the scene, and you would find all the same people at those shows, whether it was Junior Gone Wild or SNFU or Euthanasia or Spirit of the West. It was good music. It was a fun time. It was a place to go, right? It was something to do. Not that there was nothing to do, but that was a special thing to do. It was fun.
Definitely. Well, was there a lot of bands from just other bigger centers in Canada that came through that stood out to you, or?
Well, let's see. Well, I guess I was more thinking of bands that I saw. Jerry and the Sons of Rhythm. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to them. Really fun, like drinking music. He drank. He was drunk when he played. He sings about drinking. It was, another sort of Jerry and the Sons of Rhythm orchestra. So that sort of tells you that wasn't punk music. It wasn't blues. It was, again, just something different that you wouldn't hear on FM radio. And that's kind of, I think, what created the scene. You had to go to this place to hear that music. You couldn't find that music anywhere else. So if you wanted to hear something different, be different, hear someone say fuck loud or, in their song, you had to go to that place, right? That's the only place you could find it. It didn't exist anywhere else except at that show that night.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
In itself, that's awesome, right? Like, it's just lightning in a bottle almost, right? That way that if you don't go and see it, then you miss out. You don't get to see it.
Yeah, you won't get it. You can't because there's no video. You can't just, I'll watch the highlights, right? There are none.
I'll catch it on YouTube tomorrow.
No, and some of these guys didn't have, recording. You didn't even have a tape out. So you saw it then or you never saw it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yet it seemed like it was somewhat sustainable. It was like you were able to go to these shows. There was like venues that held these bands, and it was like something you can make plans to go see.
Yeah, there never seemed to be no place to play, right?
Yeah.
There was always a place to play. There always seemed to be a band that you could get, to fill the bill. So yeah, there was a wealth of music and talent, and people joining bands and leaving bands. And I can't remember who they were, but this girl, and I just remember she had never played bass before, but 3 weeks later she's in a band playing bass, and she was hot. And I'm like, all girls need to get a bass, join a band, and they're just hot. But right there, that makes them so much different. But yeah, I mean,
Showing you salt white sound.
Later, she's 3 weeks later, she's in a band. She's playing bass. She's plugged in right next to the drummer. But that was interesting.
So to contrast that, okay, I want to ask you guys that, Mike and Mike, the scene that we are in, or the period of time that we were playing, do you feel it was the same circumstances, or because I'm kind of getting almost like jealous?
Yeah, we did not have that.
It didn't feel like that. It felt like it was kind of dwindling a little bit, and I don't want to put a negative sort of like shade on the time that we played, because it was so much fun.
I don't know, man. Like,
I
can kind of see where you're coming from, but at the same time, there was lots of places to play then too, right? Like, if you actually list all those places that were around, there was lots of places that still had live music on a regular basis on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, right? That you could get a gig at, So
right. So maybe I'm talking about, there was like a string of fires, right? So Sidetrack burnt down. Or did they knock that one
They
down?
knocked it down. Yeah. Urban Lounge,
They knocked that one
fire,
down.
the roof caught on fire there. Yeah.
Right. And then besides Reds, there was like,
There wasn't a lot, man, and there really wasn't much of a season. There wasn't much of a scene there. I mean, it was, and I think we were in an in-between spot because prior to that, if you look back maybe 5 to not even 10 years, no, maybe 5 years prior to that, I could see it being a lot bigger when you look at the Smalls going around and doing their thing. And then after everything kind of fell apart for us, about maybe 5 years after that, there seemed to be a big scene that kind of flooded through, right? So like the music changed to a heavier, more scream oriented thing, and then Edmonton had this bigger scene, right? So I think we were in a weird pocket.
I think, yeah, and maybe it was like the circles that we're in, but it almost seemed like everyone was trying to sound like fucking Nickelback and just trying to like break it big like them. Yeah. So we just ended up playing with a bunch of dudes that like sounded like Nickelback.
Yeah,
and
very much so.
I don't want to be that person that shit on Nickelback because like, whatever.
You could be that person.
I have an opinion of them. I think they're fine. Whatever. You can go to a bar anywhere in the fucking world right now, and at some point in time, they will play a Nickelback song.
Yeah,
no question.
It's insane.
But you know, like,
But when everybody else in the scene sounds kind of the same, I definitely see where it's, there wasn't a lot of originality.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I think if we sat down, like even when you guys were talking right now, I was just started writing down all the different venues that we played at. Right. And like, I'm thinking like Reds, King's Night, Power Plant, Sidetrack, Urban Lounge, Filthy McNasty's. Like these were all places that we played, and there's more that I just came up with that in the last 30 seconds, right? Like it feels like there was more, but I don't know what the scene is like now, I guess, too. Yeah.
Right. And maybe I'm talking more towards like the 2000, well, maybe more towards 2003, 2002. Because in the beginning, it was like, it seemed like there was a scene. I remember there was like a bunch of bands around that were really interesting, and there was, anyway, I'm trying to think of this one band that the guy like slapped really well, and I was really like into them.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember the name though.
You know what I'm fucking talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway, and then all this, it just seemed like towards like when we put things down in 2003, it was like Sidetrack was done, Urban Lounge burnt down, we were getting paid in fucking beer, or we were just playing Battle of the Bands with 10 other bands, and it'd be like one band got paid. So that's when I was like, fuck this, I'm going to school.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
And the rest is history.
Kind of. And the rest is history.
Well, I mean, you also got to think, Dino, I mean, the world of the scene, if you want to call it that, changed so much. Like this is, I'm diverting off of the Edmonton punk scene, but I went to Europe, and that was like 1991. That's kind of, I quit the band, went to Europe, and I met a guy in Greece, pretty cool guy. I like the same music. We were listening to the Pixies and Frank Black, and anyways, he goes, when you get home, you got to see this band Nirvana. They're really good. And I'm like, okay. So again, there I go to the Georgia Strait, and hey, Nirvana's playing. I should go see them. This guy I met told me they're really good. So it was Nirvana, Pixie, and the Screaming Trees. So Nirvana's first.
Awesome.
Now, what a bill.
Yeah. Totally.
At the Commodore.
The Commodore. I love the Commodore, man.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple shows there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I go to the Commodore. I see this band. I'm right up front, and at that time, Nirvana really, like, again, they're playing the Commodore. So where are they on the stratosphere of music? But
that was Bleach, though, right?
Yeah, they were. I think Nevermind came out like 6 months later.
Okay.
So, but I remember hearing Breed, really heavy bass. I don't know if you're familiar with that song.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. And you guys, at that moment, my head exploded. And I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? This is amazing. It was unbelievable. And then probably 6 months, within a calendar year. It was, I think, Lollapalooza at BC, not place, but at the university, whatever their outdoor field, their football field. And the Chili Peppers were there, and Ministry was there. But the thing was, it was a huge outdoor stadium, and this mosh pit that a year ago was 20 people at this bar, all of a sudden was 1,500 kids, 2,000. The field was full and they're moshing, and I'm going, oh my God, what's happened to the world, right? It's unbelievable.
I love these stories.
Was that Thunderbird Stadium, Dave? Okay, yeah. Mike Stadium, and I saw Radiohead there. Yeah, that's where we
2008, I think it was.
2008, yep.
So, I mean, that was the change in sort of, I guess, alternative music. And so you guys had to, you had to live up to that. So that's different. Where, I mean, heck, any band I played with, not personally, but, on a bill, they could have been the Nirvana. They could have been the Ministry, right? They could have been, because that's when it was all exploding. Like all these bands, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, buddies of mine saw them at the Fort Hotel.
Wow.
Yeah, with like 8 people. So,
That's insane.
Yeah. I love how there's so many people that say, when I saw Nirvana back in like 1990, whatever, my head exploded. It's just like,
yeah.
Oh, honestly, I heard that parade. I can still see Kurt Cobain, legs stretched out. He's just wailing on his guitar, and the bass, that thundering sound. It was like, holy shit, 3 guys, and they come out with this sound.
yeah.
Like, wow, that was awesome. And then the interesting thing is afterwards I went to the merch table and I bought a bunch of stickers and shit from them, but I don't even know who I talked to, right? I don't remember. It could have been a buddy. It could have been Kurt. It could have been his wife. I don't know who it was, right? But,
Yeah. And then I remember, so I think I was in grade 6, and you gave me a tape. On one side was, I think it was Nevermind, and then on the other side, maybe it was Ministry. Anyway, you gave me this tape, and you're like, these guys are fucking awesome. And it was probably within a couple of months they had their Smells Like Teen Spirit on Much Music, and yeah, the rest is history. But I remember you giving me that tape, and I played it all the time in school. Like, I don't know, how old are you in grade 6? You're 10? 12, right? Yep. And I'm just like playing this shit. I remember it was like we were able to play music when we were packing up and getting ready to go, and I was playing fucking Nevermind. So,
thanks, Dave, because I probably found out through that too. So thank you. Thanks for that taped tape.
And not to mention, side B was Ministry, right? So it was like you also were into this like interesting industrial shit. And I remember like Ministry was also fucking amazing. And that was something that's where I learned how to play music loud. Because
I do like that like you say, that industrial grinding hard.
Yeah.
That's why, from a music listening to it, SNFU just doesn't really resonate with me. But I mean, the energy in a live show, that's totally different, right? But to listen to their CD or their tape or their LP or whatever it is, it just didn't do it for me. But Ministry,
Ministry had that energy.
Oh yeah, they came out
on the album
at Lollapalooza, and he had his megaphone, and he was singing into it, and it was just, again, that was part of what's happened to the world, right? Oh my God, it was that was a pretty cool show to see the Chili Peppers and Ministry, and I can't even remember who all did that, but that was my wow, it all just flipped. It was now, the scene was not this, it was big. It was huge. It exploded.
Do you remember the year on that, Dave, for that Lollapalooza?
No, I'd have to look it up. Be the first one.
92?
91?
Probably 92. Yeah, 91, 92. Yeah.
92.
Okay, Okay, well, I found it. I don't know if all these bands were here. You can confirm this or not. Was Soundgarden there?
You know what? I guess they must. Well, if it's a Pepper,
Dave was on too many.
no. Well, again, this was all just starting, right? It was all these Seattle bands were, Nirvana, Soundgarden. I mean, if Ministry and the Chili Peppers are on that bill, then yes.
Okay, well, here's the lineup.
Here's
the lineup, okay? The lineup is Soundgarden, the Jim Rose Circus Sideshow, which I don't know what that is, but I kind of want to look that up now. Pearl Jam, Ice Cube, the Jesus and Mary Chain, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Ministry, and Lush. July 21st to 1992 at Thunderbird Stadium. There you go.
Yep, that was the one.
Wow.
Good show. I remember lining up for beers, and the lineup was so long. Again, it's like, this is shit, man. I got to wait like 20 minutes for a beer. This is crazy. Everything had exploded. So I stood in line, I bought my beer, and I'm there, and I guzzle it, and then I order another one immediately because I can't wait 20 more minutes for another beer. So.
Oh.
Yeah. So I guess I think this was like, this is the stuff that fueled us. This is the stuff that made us want to start bands and be a part of that. And all I'm saying is, just circle back, is that it seemed different. It seemed different when we were doing it. I think it was more about like, how do you get noticed and how do you get big and how do you it was like, not only how do you survive, first of all, and like, I think we were to some extent, getting paid here and there and able to record stuff and do what we wanted to do. But after that, I remember, like, we even talked about this like in an earlier podcast where it was like, you would go on stage and you'd need to borrow something. People wouldn't fucking help you out. You'd get like a big stink face and like, sorry, pal, better luck next time. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, everybody was out for themselves.
Seems like it a little bit.
So there really wasn't a scene. I mean, when you look at a lot of the big scenes that explode, even just narrow it down to Seattle, I mean, all the bands that were huge then kind of had their own, had everyone's back, and everyone was friends and everybody knew each other. And it was a thing where when we were doing it, there was no scene. It was just every band for themselves and, and take it from there. So yeah, totally.
No, I remember when I joined the Exploding Fertilizers, a friend of a friend said, "Hey, yeah, Dave plays drums." I'm like, "I played once." And they're like, "Well, that's fine. That's good.
You got the job."
Yeah, I haven't played in like 5 years. So, and that was it. We got in their garage and I brought my kit and played, and, I could keep a 4/4 beat, and that's all they wanted. Let's go. So
there you go. Yeah.
Then we played. Now, it's all you needed was a drummer. You didn't have to be good. You didn't even have to play. I wasn't good. I couldn't even play. I learned to play at the shows, right?
Right. But yeah, I mean, like, speaking to your point, Mike, I think like last week before, you were talking about Andy Wood and Chris Cornell living together.
Yeah.
And that whole situation where they were just like pushing each other and who knows what happened in that apartment, but like that was sort of the beginnings of what was the Seattle sound, right? It was people who were like working with each other or inspiring each other and stuff like that. And David, it kind of sounds like to some extent there was that happening. Like the shows had this eclectic sort of like bill, and like you had Junior Gone Wild playing with SNFU, but people were fine with it because there was like, it sounds like it was a scene that was supportive, regardless of what you're listening to. It was something that was fun and people wanted to be a part of.
yeah, it was a place to go, right? It's, kids need a place to go, and that was the place to go. I mean, other kids did other things, but, I guess, the scene was to be different or to be not like everyone else. So it was more of what we're not rather than what we are. So, yeah, it was good. It was really supportive. It was a lot of different bands. And, I do recall CJSR, Campus Radio. That was also one of the binding elements from that scene, because that was a place that you could find an hour or so a week, that music, that sound, that thing that was different that you were looking for that you couldn't find anywhere else except at the show.
And that was the different thing with us too. When you look at CGSR, when we were doing it, the only time they ever played the really crazy different stuff was like later at night, kind of a deal, right?
Yeah,
so, you couldn't catch something really cool and interesting on like an afternoon. You had to stay up till like 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night just to catch it, right? At least that's how I remember it. I don't know.
Yeah. Run to Sound Connection and look at the menu on the wall to see who's playing and when, and are there any tickets left, or where do you get tickets?
Dane, though, like you think about back in like even before Think Not Think, you think about like all the hall parties that we used to play.
Yeah, I mean, fuck.
We played a ton of hard ball parties, right? Like we just rent those halls.
Oh man,
and we would have like 6-8 bands on the bill, and none of them really sounded like us, or we didn't sound like them.
No,
but I remember like you remember the Bell Jar Blues Band? Remember those guys?
Oh Jesus,
yeah. Man,
wow.
And I think about those guys and like
Bell Jar Blues, but
they were great, but we were kind of blown away by them, right? But I just find like, not that I want to sound like high and mighty, but I found even when we were playing with Think Not Think, it was difficult to find bands that we liked, that we thought were like, these guys are pretty good, like us. And, I think of like Broken Nose, I think of Broken Nose, and like, that was one of the very few bands that like I saw when we were playing together that I was blown away by. And I was like, these guys are cool.
Right.
They got a cool sound. I like them. And I don't feel threatened by them either, right? Like you're trying to all kind of like fight for, supremacy. But that was one of the few bands where I was like, man, these guys are talented. I like their stuff. But the other bands that we play with, I was like, I don't know, man. Like it feels like I just didn't connect, But anyways, going back to those hall parties, I just think about that whole eclectic mix of bands that we had in those. I don't even know how we got those bands. I don't even know how we got all those.
We lost our... Yeah. I mean, it was like usually through friends of friends or whatever. I remember like some band called 50 Cent showed up and they were like, whatever. They had Marshall amps and we were just like, what the fuck ever. And they had a bad attitude. But I mean, it turned out to be a good show. Always was a great show. I mean, however we got, we got kegs of beer at the age of 15, 16 years old. I have no idea how we pulled that off. Lost our damage deposit every single time. But we'd always like fucking make a couple $100 at the end of the day.
Play in the Allendale Hall or lights. The King Edward Hall or whatever.
And I think like, and maybe this is me just like, that's when I felt like there was a healthy scene. Like, of course there was. We were in high school. Right, there was a bunch of guys playing whatever instruments, and we just rented a hall and like invite all your friends. We'd have 300 people show up. We prayed to God the cops didn't show up.
And they never did, man. They never did.
Really, I remember maybe once or twice.
Oh, maybe
there was always someone at the front like, all right, dude, we gotta turn it down a little bit because
it's past 10 p.m. here.
Yeah. There was someone at the door like managing that, but. Though that seems like that was a healthy scene. And I don't know if you could like that was the high school. We were running around in like the high school circles of, whatever bands were going during that time. But like it just maybe to me it seemed a little bit different years after that.
Yes.
And I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it, and it's really interesting to me, and that's why I was kind of like excited about tonight, because Dave, we could sort of like dive into your memories and into your recollection of like what the Edmonton scene was like, because I remember it being fun, but I also remember like, why are we playing with 10 other bands all the time and only one's getting paid because it's another battle of the bands? Like, what the fuck is going on? And then it seemed like there needed to be a reset there.
Totally. And it wasn't, it didn't come down to who was a better band. It came down to who brought the most people.
Yeah. Right. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just weird.
And then you'd see them all file out after their friend's band played, right?
And then emptied. Yep.
Yeah.
So then you played a nobody. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, we did that a couple times too.
Sometimes we did, sometimes we didn't. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. But super interesting because again, like that picture you posted, Dave, and it just looks like high energy. Like you said, like there's someone fucking doing a giant spread eagle. And it just,
that's a beautiful picture.
It's
just
great
I
picture.
Yeah. Just the feet are in the air. Like you got people playing. There's Chai Pig. I don't know what he's doing, but these people are above him, right?
Right.
They're higher than him and he's on stage.
Yeah.
You guys send me that pic, Dane. Send me that picture. I want to see that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll send you. Here's another thing that we'll
post
share.
it.
Yeah.
This Don't Let the Fruit Rot on the Trees. This is a compilation album that we were on. I'll just name some of the bands here. So we've got The Foes of Respiration, Cadillac of Worms, Color 9. Color 9, that's the band with the cute bass chick that learned in 3 weeks.
Right.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, nice. That's a good name.
Rex Morgan. Love Things, She Said, Big Ink, The Hunted Mind, and Kentucky Church Bus. But, it's kind of interesting, and it's just this pink.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't think this has ever seen a needle, so meaning it never got played. Maybe it did, I don't know. I had 2 of them. And then inside, of course, the artwork, right? And someone put this on Facebook. I kind of forgot about it. He had a copy of it. But again, there's the worms in our write-up.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, and how did this come about? No idea. I don't remember. But I don't even know who paid for it.
Wow.
I mean, yeah. I guess I paid for it when I bought the record, right? But somebody had to come up with some money somewhere. But yeah, just a lot of different. Again, I didn't look at any of these bands.
I didn't see any colored vinyl till like later. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't see anything but black vinyl until I, started buying
2000
vinyl.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to get on vinyl, that was a big deal, right? It's like, wow, we're on a record.
Yeah, and
right?
do you have Live and Cuddly behind you on vinyl? Is that what that is?
Oh yeah, Live and
Yeah.
Vinyl, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's another unopened.
Oh wow,
good album.
Open that up and put it on.
You don't need to. You got the digital copy now.
Yeah, this is maybe there's a couple more now, but on Spotify, unfortunately, that's my go-to, right? So if it's not there, I'm challenged to hear it. But this is on Spotify, so I do get some No Means No.
What are you listening to
That's
now,
killer,
Dave?
man.
What are you into now? I got my pen ready.
Well, you know what? What I do is I've got again, Spotify's my thing, and I have my weekly. They give you a weekly, and I select the like, and it goes to my liked. Let's see. I'm in my library here. Liked songs. So the Dune Rats, Scott Green. Oh, and the Hanson Brothers. That's No Means No's. Fuck
Yeah,
band.
my buddy played drums for them Ernie
really?
Hawkins. Yeah.
Let's see. I've got some Dead Kennedys here. A Kiss cover. Oh, it's Eagles of Death. They do God of Thunder. I think that's Eagles of Death metal.
Oh, okay.
Rob Zombie. Let's see, what would be new? Royal Blood. I don't know if that's new, but let's see. Grandson. I really like Grandson.
Oh, this is the second person.
Yeah, he's cool. Now, unfortunately, I had tickets to go see him at a bar downtown in Victoria, and of course, like everybody else, COVID hit, and
that was that.
I didn't go see Grandson, but I really do like Grandson. He's kind of dark, and he almost sings. Really good. I like him.
You know, you were saying the Pixies there. It just reminded me because then you said Royal Blood. That's who I saw. I saw Royal Blood open up for the Pixies at the Shaw Conference Center.
Oh, okay. So Royal Blood's been around for a while then. If they were playing,
new-ish, I guess you could say.
You know, I was looking at a video today. The Melvins. They had 2 drummers. I didn't know that, or maybe they just for this show did. But
so they also have 2 bass players.
Well, check out the Baseballs album. That's a great one.
From the Melvins?
Melvins Baseballs. They've got a couple bass players on it. It's awesome.
They did a show at Strombo's house.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. House of Strombo. Yeah.
House of Strombo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw No Means No with 2 drummers. Now that was mind blowing. Yeah, they did a tour. I forget his name, but I did meet him here in Victoria. He played at there was a little club here called the Subculture Club. It was it's a really cool place. Of course, it's closed down too, but it's a real friendly, no drinking, no booze. It's just for bands to play. You just go there, you see the band. You can't even go in the parking lot and drink beer and smoke weed. It's pretty clean. But whoever this guy was played at the Subculture Club. But yeah, I did see No Means No in Edmonton, 2 drummers.
Wow.
Mind blowing. Unbelievable.
What year was that?
Oh. Well, I was in Edmonton, so that had to be 89.
Okay. Yeah.
Galdar.
Or maybe earlier. You know, again, I saw No Means No. It's kind of interesting that I don't remember my first No Means No show. They just kind of entered quietly into my life, right? And I mean, they became, like, I would say that's my favorite band in the world of all time.
Wow. That's awesome.
So you're a fan.
I mean, when you listen to a No Means No song, or when you see it live, wow, the bass playing, the drumming, it's unbelievable, right? It's just so good. Those guys were so talented. And unfortunately, they slipped away as quietly as they entered, right? Because all of a sudden one day I got a post on Facebook that they've retired and they're done.
Same thing to me.
I caught that too.
Yeah. One of my buddies was like,
how do you do that? You can't. I always go to the shows. You guys can't stop playing.
Well, I reached out to them just before we did our No Means No show just to see if they'd be interested in coming on, but nobody ever got back to us. So it's like they shut it right down. So
probably. I mean, is it Rob who's still doing Machine Head?
Because John's
one of them.
Is it John or Rob? I always get them mixed up. But the guitarist, he's retired. He's got a pub up in what's that city in BC? I forget it. But he's got he brews beer and he's got a pub there, and so he's retired. I saw John. He did a show here in Victoria with another band, and they did some No Means No songs, and that was pretty cool. So I chatted with him after, and I said, "Any chance we'll ever see a No Means No show?" And he just said, "Doubtful."
We need to get this guy on, I think, too, on the podcast. If he's brewing beer and he's got his own thing going on, I think we need that's a nice little connection there.
Yeah, I meant to. Yeah, I keep bringing up COVID, but we were supposed to go there because I got a friend, I forget the name of the city where it is. It's just north of Sunshine Coast. So you got to take a ferry. It's like a ferry and a ferry.
Yeah.
But anyways, he's got a pub up there, and yeah, that was the plan. I got a buddy in that city, whatever the name of that city is. And of course, COVID shut it down. So we didn't go.
Yeah. So as far as like, and I don't know how much, I mean, it seems like you still go to shows from time to time. And like Victoria, I would imagine has somewhat of a healthy scene or had a healthy scene. Do you see COVID really affecting a lot of these live venues? Do you think they're going to survive, or is it going to be a completely different like landscape?
Well, unfortunately, Logan's, that was the place for, like, if you were, DOA played there, and that was the punk, that was the venue for punk shows, right? And they have officially closed doors. They are not open. But when the world gets better, and it will get better, another venue will come up from somewhere. Yeah, it will happen. So the scene's not dead. It's just on pause, like a lot of things. So, but yeah, Victoria did have again, I think it has to do with the size of the city and the community and how you can connect, right? Yeah. Victoria is the right size to have a cool scene. And they do. And it's kind of interesting that you say I still go to shows, because I do, but I kind of took a hiatus. I had kids, and then you just get disconnected and you kind of lose touch with the scene, right? And then about 5 years ago, there was a show. It was at a theater on Quadra in Victoria, and finally Eden could go to this show, right? He was 19, and I said, "Hey, you want to go?" And he's like, "Yeah." They served beer. It was awesome. So we're sitting there, and it's like a movie theater, but with a stage. And geez, I wish I could remember the band that came out, but again, industrial, hard. This guy had a big, huge bass, and he's plucking it away. And I'm sitting there drinking beers with Eden. Eden's my son, if I didn't mention that. And I looked at Eden and I said, because dads can embarrass their kids, right? I'm like, I got to go up there. And he's like, go. So, I found me my beer. I put it down. I went down there. And I pushed these young punks aside. I got up on the stage and I just sat on the stage. And I hadn't been to a show in so long. And I had a good beer buzz going. And this guy had his bass and he was just slapping it in front of me. And I'm like, whoa, I couldn't believe it. I'm back.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
that's
great. Yeah. So that was another cool, fun night. And since that night, yes, I returned to seeing shows. Of course, COVID shut it down. But it's been fun. The last, since that reintroduction to the scene, I've been going to see bands, got my drum kit dusted off. Went to Logan's, saw a lot of good bands at Logan's. So, again, once we get better, something else will surface.
There you go.
Someone else will open it up. Someone else will take it over.
Yeah. Cheers to that.
I think you guys could probably agree with this, though. Like, there's really nothing like going to a live show, at least for me, and seeing all the gear set up on stage. Yeah. And like all the lights on the gear set up and on, and like that potential that is going to happen that is going to happen soon. It gets me giddy, man. Like I love that.
Every time.
Just seeing everything just set up and just kind of humming is just, I miss that. I miss it, and I love that power that's going to come out that just is sitting there waiting,
Yep. Well, I was blown away too. A couple weeks ago, there was a live concert stream of a band called Bison BC. Been a huge fan of them forever. I fucking love that band. Anyway, they put out this what was the club they were at? Thawhorn or Hawthorne, something like that. Anyway, it was unreal. And when they showed it was just the same kind of thing where, I mean, even if it was just on my computer screen, just seeing the gear and the pre stuff and then them walking on, it was, you know, it's not the same energy, but it's kind of the same energy, and it's the closest we've had in over a year. It was unreal. Yeah. So good. Good. I was so blown away by it.
Like, fuck, that's poetry, Mike. You're like just seeing that shit with the lights on it and it's humming. And then the guys walk out and they strap on their shit, and then you're locked in for the next however long, couple hours, and you're gonna have a fucking awesome time. I miss that. Yeah.
I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss
sure.
That. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But
have you guys heard of a band? I think they're from Nanaimo or Up Island anyways. Under the Mountain?
No.
I stumbled across them at the Subculture Club, that place I was speaking of. They have a new drummer now, and what impressed me most was their drummer. He tied that band together, and they were awesome. I'm like, holy shit. You know, that was, you know, I almost had that Nirvana feeling with these guys. It was like, wow, you guys are really, really good. They had this cool bass player, and you know, when you've got a really good tandem between your drummer and the bass player, you've got some good sound, and you know, sound that attracts me anyways. But
is that them, Dave?
Yes, but they've got a new drummer now. Their drummer took off, went to be a dad, and doing his own thing. And I saw them at Logan's, and they just weren't the same, you know.
They got a song called Black Velvet, came out in 2020. I wonder if that's an Atlanta Miles cover.
I hope it is.
I wonder if they're big in Germany too, like she
they're
is.
Huge in Germany. Huge.
Oh man.
Yeah, they only got 1,300 listens on Black Velvet.
Fuck, 1,301.
They're all from Germany.
Show, that's for sure.
That's right. They're on my list.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Dave. This was great. This was really fun. I think. Yeah,
it was good to
thanks
have
so
a
much.
refresher and to pull all these things out, and you know, I'm glad that I kept this. You know, I even got my concert stubs here. All of my
got like a scrapbook.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Kim Mitchell.
Wow.
What else do I got here? The lighting's not.
What's in that?
Pardon me?
What's in that?
Oh, everything. Elton John. Streetheart. Oh my God, I'm embarrassed.
Streetheart.
Pretend you didn't hear that one. I don't know why that's.
No way. I wish I saw Streetheart.
Girl School. The Pretenders. Jimmy Cliff. Actually, Jimmy Cliff, that was an awesome show. I don't know if you guys know Jimmy Cliff.
Yeah.
So.
Jimmy Cliff was in the Whalers, wasn't he?
Yeah, he might have been. He might have been one of the Whalers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I went to go see Peter Tosh in Edmonton.
Peter Tosh, yeah.
And Jimmy Cliff
Awesome.
backed up Peter Tosh, and I thought Jimmy Cliff blew Peter Tosh away. Jimmy Cliff was awesome. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and that was there was a band that I saw at the Butterdome in Edmonton, King Sunny a Day. I went to go see Black Uhura, but this King Sunny a Day was unbelievable. They had like 18 drummers lined up in the back, and they were just beating the drums, you know, and it's called juju music. Now, I had consumed a fair bit of weed before that show. It really enhanced the experience, but that was a crazy, crazy good show. King Sunny a Day.
I found him on Spotify. He's on here too.
Like, you're
King Sunny a Day, man.
There you go.
Yeah. So give old King Sunny a Day. He was supposed to come to Victoria, and they had issues with a visa or something like that, so they canceled the show. I was bummed. It's like, holy smokes, that was 30 years ago or something that I saw these guys.
Oh, wow.
He's got 1 million albums. Like 1 million albums. But like going back to like 81, 82, 83.
I probably saw
86 came out with Sweet Banana.
I saw them. It must be 1984 at the Butterdome in Edmonton.
Wow.
Nice.
And I don't know if I would have that
probably in
same
support.
connection. Like if someone said, "Hey, listen to King Sunny a Day," and if I listened to it, I don't know if I'd be like, "Oh, wow, that's good."
Sure, yeah.
Or I'd be like, "What is this?" Right? But we connected that night in the Butterdome, and it's beautiful music.
Yeah.
Right on.
Anything you suggest, Dave, I'm going to check out. So it could be garbage, but I'm going to check it out just in case.
Oh no, it's called Juju music, and it is in African or whatever dialect of that they speak. But it's funny. I know the words to the songs, and it's in Afrikaans or whatever they're speaking. So
Afrikaans.
yeah. Alrighty.
Interesting, man. Well, yeah, again, thanks. And like I think this was a long time coming because we had talked about this before, and like the Uncle Dave influence. It was nice to sort of like take a look at like where your influences came from. And like how it sort of like carries on, right? Like
no, and then I was surprised, I was impressed, and it was good to hear that that small gesture of giving you that bass that day really impacted your life. It changed things, right?
Yeah, dude. I got an office full of guitars right now because of that. So
yeah. Or that tape I handed you that said, "Listen to this."
Well,
and a lot of them too. Like it wasn't just like this one weird day where you're like, listen to this band, and that was it. But it was like the Chili Peppers, Ministry, Doughboys, Nirvana, like No Means No. It was a bunch of stuff. It was like a whole nicely kind of rounded out, like
it was nicely curated, man. It was all kind of put together.
And of course I went to my friends and I was like, "Yo, listen to this shit. It's fucking awesome." And all my friends, except for you, Mike, were like, "This is satanic."
Well, music plays a big part in our culture, in our lives.
Absolutely.
The way it binds people together. It identifies who you are. It's just, I don't know how you could not be into music of some sort, something, right? So, and when I find something like that I really like, I want to share it, and I want to, and so when I share it, like No Means No, hey, you got to listen to this, and they don't give them the time of day, it pisses me off. It's like, fuck, man, your life will change if you listen to this band. I'm telling you, give them the time of day, because everything will be different next week if you do this.
Nice. Awesome.
That's great.
All right.
Thanks, Dave.
Great. Thanks, Dave. Nice to meet you and talk to you too.
Yeah.
It was definitely. It was great to actually. It was great to finally meet the legendary Uncle Dave. That without you, we would have never met, and our musical paths would have been completely different too. So
let's all learn from that, and don't disregard these gestures. I have a little saying, I was a bad kid. Fuck, I was really bad. But I'm making up for it now, and I have this saying that says, "Be nice and do good things." So let's do that, and all these things that we do, be nice and do good things. Look what happened.
Cheers to that.
Definitely.
Right on,
cheers to that, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
Alrighty. All right.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Take care, you guys. Enjoy, and let me know when the podcast comes out, and
we'll do.
We'll listen to it.
We'll
definitely.
Okay, take care. Have a good night. Be nice.
You too.
Do good things.
See ya.
Okay, you too, man. Thanks.
Ciao.
Will do.